So you may have heard, a new Mass Effect has finally arrived. Mass Effect Andromeda is here, and if you've been paying attention to the reactions, then you know that it doesn't look pretty. Reports of graphical glitches, a poor user interface, boring side quests, uninspired and hackneyed writing, and poor animations are all painting Mass Effect Andromeda in an extremely poor light. But I'm not here to talk about these issues or the game, as I have not played it myself, though I plan to. Instead, I'd like to focus a bit on the context and overall reactions surrounding the game itself, because frankly, I find it both fascinating and disheartening. Never in my life have I ever seen such a high-profile game get savaged in the way Andromeda currently is, leading up to its release. Wherever you go, there is this pervasive atmosphere of outrage and skepticism. Now, I'm not here to try to convince you that the feelings you have, whether positive or negative, are valid. That's not my place. In fact, I agree with nearly all of the criticisms I've been seeing and hearing. The facial animations do look bad, there's simply no denying that, but I am concerned with the sheer vitriolic negativity the game is getting before most have even played it. Let's back up a bit though. The truth is that the Mass Effect franchise has remained in a very trepidatious place ever since the conclusion of the original trilogy. Never in video game history has the ending of a game rocked its fanbase like Mass Effect 3 did, and that's because to many, Mass Effect is more than just a video game. Over the course of the 3 games, it introduced and developed what many consider to be one of the best science fiction universes of the modern age. The world building and character writing felt real, a feeling amplified by the participatory nature of the game. Mass Effect wasn't just a story you watched, it was a story you engaged with on a deep emotional level. Since Shepard was practically a blank slate, a player is able to project their own feelings and emotional baggage onto him or her, deepening the affection you felt to the fictional supporting characters. These games were incredibly easy to get lost in. In many ways, it could feel like a second life, and the fans loved it. But love and hate are two sides of the same coin, and can flip at any moment, and that is exactly what happened when Mass Effect 3 ended the way it did. This explains the sheer intensity Bioware felt from the negative reaction of the fanbase. Many felt that this thing they loved had betrayed them, which is an understandable, if not ultimately immature stance to take. But many did anyway, and both Mass Effect and Bioware have yet to fully recover from this perception. Whereas Bioware was once a developer that could do no wrong, now they are perceived to be fools who can do nothing right. The culture surrounding Bioware was poisoned, and in many ways still remains so, hence the current reaction to Andromeda, which already comes with the baggage left over from the original trilogy. Whether deserved or not, the odds were already stacked against this game. All this is to say that I understand where all the skepticism for Andromeda is coming from. Healthy skepticism is good. It keeps our expectations tempered, which is a lesson we all should have learned after Mass Effect 3. But that's not what I'm seeing with much of the criticism surrounding Andromeda. What I'm seeing is precise, often mean-spirited attacks and comments against the game and Bioware. The amount of memes, hyperbolic statements, and even misguided witch hunts that have sprouted up indicates that toxic cynicism still pervades much of the fandom after all these years. This isn't helped by the constant feedback loops the internet provides people with. I can't tell you how many variations of the same memes and videos making fun of Andromeda's animations I've seen. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for making fun. I've had some pretty good laughs at these myself. How can you not when seeing some of those facial expressions? But it gets old fast. It's honestly starting to feel like kicking a guy when he's down. Look, I know there are legitimate reasons why Andromeda is getting such a lukewarm reception. The Mass Effect games come with a strong pedigree, and falling below those standards, even a little, means a lot with this franchise. But the constant spotlighting of the flaws is taking away from the good things people are saying about it, which simply isn't fair, especially when some of the flaws are minor compared to others. And let's be real, it's not like weird and hilarious technical issues are anything new to big RPGs, or even new to Mass Effect. Am I the only one who remembers the horrendously long texture load-ins from the first Mass Effect? It just seems like people are willing to put up with less when it comes to present-day Bioware, holding them to a higher standard than other developers, and maybe they should be considering the high quality of their past games. However, without painting with too broad a stroke, it honestly feels like a portion of gamers actually want Bioware and Mass Effect to fail. We should be rooting for their success, not failure. I feel like many are forgetting that there are people behind this game. Collectively, they put thousands of hours of their lives into making it, and while that doesn't mean they should be shielded from criticism, it should be constructive and respectful, yet so often rarely is these days when aided by the anonymity of the internet. Make no mistake, I'm not attempting to defend the flaws of Andromeda or apologize on behalf of Bioware, but the tribalism forming on both sides of the argument, fed through and intensified by the echo chamber and clickbait marketplace of the internet, is no good for anyone, least of all the game. Mass Effect Andromeda deserves to be analyzed as objectively positively as much as any other game, both as a separate work itself and as a continuation of the franchise. People just need to be honest with themselves and stop trying to filter a narrative through other people's opinions. Ultimately, you are the only one who can decide whether Mass Effect Andromeda is worth your time and money or not. For some, the technical issues and lesser quality storytelling is enough to turn them off from a purchase, and that's perfectly okay. For others, these are minor issues that won't matter as long as the game is an entertaining experience, and that's okay too. If Mass Effect has taught us anything, it's that collective hive mind thinking is terrible for everyone, especially the individual. So think for yourself and have fun, not just with video games, but with everything you do. So if you've played Andromeda, or even if you haven't but have something to say, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I am looking forward to playing Andromeda for myself, just out of pure curiosity, and I'm sure I will be sharing my opinions regarding it in the future. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please rate and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you in the Andromeda galaxy.